This conference will now be recorded.
So yeah, we have two topics, which is Flask and Django. Flask and Django are a very vast topic. So both Flask and Django is itself a separate course, but here in Python, we just want to show you a hint on what is Flask and what all you can do with Python, what is also possible with Python using Flask and Django. So Flask and Django both does the same work. Flask is a web framework. So using that, you can build your own lightweight web application. So Flask is a framework from Python. So there was a Python enthusiast called Armin Ronacher. He actually developed this framework. Using Python, he developed the framework that we can use that framework to develop a website, a very lightweight application. If a application has have to be heavy, like it has to have multiple functions and so many modules and so many users are going to use it, then we don't go for this. But if it's a very lightweight function, there are lightweight application, like there won't be much complicated functionalities needed, then we use a Flask, which is easy and quick to develop the website web application. And Django does the same thing. Django is also a web framework using which you can create your website. But there, since it is developed by a third party, like using Python, some developer developed it. So somebody developed Django and somebody else developed Flask so that you can make the work simpler. So Django you can use to uh, build a little complicated web app. You can do it quickly. With Flask, you can. It is very straightforward. The Flask is using Flask. You can create it very easily. You can create a simple website, a lightweight web. So, if you have to create a website with Django, you should know Node.js, HTML, Rails, all those things comes when you have to create a website. It's kind of a full stack. You have to know many other technologies to create your own website. You should know HTML, you should know CSS, all those things are needed. But yeah, we just want to give you a hint, and we just want to show you what else you can do with Python, so that if you are interested in doing web application, developing web application, you can take either of the path, Django or Flask. You can learn in detail and go and create your own website. Python is rich of libraries. So similarly, Python Flask is full of libraries using which you can easily create your own web application. So you have to know HTML and Python both to understand or create a Flask thing. So yeah, coming to Flask, Flask is kind of an API of Python that allows us to build a web application. So what is API? If you do not understand what is API, so it's kind of a request response model. So you can send a request to one particular URL and you will be getting back the response. So in the request, it is already predefined. Like it will tell that these are the values you can pass in the request, and the response will be based on the request value you give in the request. And again in the request, there will be multiple fields. Some will be mandatory, some will be optional. So if you want, you can fill all the optional values and you can send a request. Otherwise, you can fill only the mandatory and send a request. And a response is nothing but based on your request, a data output will be written. Like how you go and use your search engine in Google or Chrome or Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft Edge, any browser. You are just going and typing something. You wanted to search something. So what it does, it goes and reaches the search engine. Whatever you type, it goes and reaches the server. And what the server does, it checks what all related to that keyword is available in the server, in the data, in the web. It returns you everything. So it's also a kind of a API thing. Let me show clearly what is API. Okay. Okay, so I just opened a website, uh, search engine, and here I'm going and typing google.com. So it's telling the first is a search request, which is happening. So you could see the first is whenever I search, it gives me, it goes and searches for www.google.com. I just gave google.com, but it went and searched for https www.google.com, and it is telling the method is get. So here I'm getting some data from the search engine, and once I give get it this here the next thing what it does, it goes and fetches all the detail and it displays to me here it fetches the logo, it fetches here. I have given only APIs. If I give all, you will have multiple things have come from the search engine. So here you see the logo had come. Slowly everything, all the data came. So here this button, whatever you have, everything came back as a response when I searched for google.com. So this is a get method. So API, there are multiple method: get, put, delete, and update. Here I'm getting fetching a data. I'm not updating anything. I'm just purely retrieving some data. So these all API. We are sending a request. This google.com is a request, and we are getting back all the thing as a response. It's full of logo, document, JavaScript, all together available. Everything are assembled and shown. It's shown as a website for me. So this is what API does. So Flask is an API of Python that allows you build up a web application. And why was Flask invented? Was it was after Django. So they wanted something which is very straightforward and easy to implement to create a very simple web application. So they came up with a Flask framework. After they started using Django, they thought they want a more simpler version. And so it's a web application framework or web framework and is a collection of modules and libraries which a developer can implement and write their own application without writing all the low-level code. Usually, if you have to develop your own web application, you should be writing some protocol, thread management, everything should be written. But here it's not needed with Flask. You can directly go and implement all the libraries, and it's very easy to create your own website. So to have Flask to work, you should have Python 2.6 or higher version installed in your system. And let me try to install Flask. I did the installation, and then I reinstalled everything so that I can do the installation again here today. So here, Flask is a kind of a third-party plugin extension. You are just going to plug in into your system and you are going to use it. Here to install the prerequisite is you should have Python 2.6 or higher. And then you have to run this virtual environment. You have to install a virtual environment, then inside it you can so let me install virtual environment. Okay, so a virtual environment is created inside my system. So next you have to do this. Now I have to activate the virtual environment. So for Windows, this is a command to activate. So it's giving me some error. Let me directly go to the path. Setting path, okay. I guess since I already had and uninstalled everything, it's creating me some issue. I guess it's already inactive. Let's check. We have Python 3, so greater than 2.6. And let me install Flask. Okay, Flask is getting installed. So now I'm just going to validate. So we install everything. Now let me do something like Python. I'm going inside Python and import Flask. So it's not throwing me any error when I give import Flask. That means a Flask is available and it's available to import it for me. Mm, so this is to validate. You will not see any. You shouldn't see any error after doing it. Guys, just give me 2 minutes. My daughter woke up. I'll just inform her that I'm here and be back. I'm back, guys. So we have now installed everything. We are ready to write our own module in Flask. So let's start creating a mini module in Flask. So you all know we have to import a Flask because it's a module in Python. We have to import it and it's a mandatory. So I'm just writing this import command. And then we have to create our own constructor, and this constructor is taking to is needed an argument called name. So I'm just defining a variable, some variable, and then I'm going to create a constructor. So this is how you have to create a constructor. You have to give Flask. I'm just using this module function, and then I'm passing an argument called name underscore underscore name underscore underscore. So this is like how we usually do self. We create whenever we create our own class, we create a self constructor, right? Similarly, here I'm using a name and we are creating a constructor. Now, the next thing is when you come to web application, the main thing is the URL, right? You should have an URL and somebody can go and launch your web application using the URL. So if at all you have to create a URL, you have to use this function, something called root, which will give you the path or the route to launch your website. So with the root will just tell the application which URL you should call. Okay. So this is how you have to create. So you remember we have seen decorator in Python. So this is similar to that. I'm just creating a decorator underscore app for this variable, and then I'm creating dot root, which is a function. And here I can define my path. I can define the URL where my function will go and run. So here I can now create my own function. I'm just creating a simple function. So I'm just defining a function, and inside the function I'm just returning hello world. And later I'm just running this application. So this is app, right? Inside the app we are creating our own function. So I have to give app.run so that run if you can go and run the application on Flask in your local development server. So here, so the run is like a method you can use to run your application. What I'll do now, I'll put it in a file. So you can ignore. Okay, the main method is missing. I'm just adding a main method. So in Python without main method also we could able to do all our function, but here it's expecting a main method. So I'm just giving name is equal to main. I'm telling where the main statement starts. So the so that Python knows the where it starts. So it starts at this point and it's calling app. Now I'm going and checking what is app. So app is a flask and we this is a root and this is a function. So it now understand what app is. Okay, there is no error. So now let me save this in my VS Code. So here the indentation is the problem. Okay, let me save it and run. So here you can see it's showing me a local, my local, I mean, how do I can launch my local system in the website? So this is my local IP address. I'm just copying this. The system is giving me. What I'll go. See here, on my local host only, my notebook is also running. Similarly, on my local host, see you can see the hello world. So this is a URL since I have given just slash, which is nothing but I'm telling in my local, directly in my local, run this hello world. So when I go to my local, it is showing me hello world because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to return hello world. Let's now create a new endpoint. Like I'll add some more detail to the endpoint. So now, So before creating my own endpoint, we have to understand a new function called add URL. So this is a function where you can create your own URL. Here I just gave slash the root, but if I want to add something after the slash, then I have to go and use this add URL. It's a method in Flask where you can define a URL rule for mapping between the URL path and the function whichever you are specifying in your code. 1 minute, I'll put a definition here. So this is how the syntax looks. It has four variables. One is rule, and this is endpoint, and view function, and options. So with the root, we didn't do anything. We just gave slash with whenever I gave, this is my local URL. So since I can directly launch my local URL, I don't have any other URL name. I just launched my local and I saw hello world. But now we are going to add some new URL, right? So here rule is a string that defines a URL pattern, like what URL I want. For example, instead of just slash, I can add slash hello. This is a URL pattern I want to see. After that, I want to add slash hello to my local host to see the function. And then the next is an endpoint, and the third is a view function. Here, the view function is nothing but hello world, right? I just want to use this function. So I want to display that function in my website. So I can pass this function here. I have to give it in a single quotes, and then so first I'm just giving the rule like how I should launch, and then endpoint. Here I'm telling it should be slash hello. This is a rule I'm telling. But in the endpoint I'm just giving hello. That is because we already have a root called slash. So already the slash is defined in the root. So I'm just giving after slash I have to give hello. So that the whole thing I'm giving inside the rule. Rule should know how it should look, and then I'm just a view function. This is nothing but a just we are just returning something which you can view in the website, right? Website is nothing but whatever functions you have created, you are just going and viewing it. When you launch it, you will see all the functions loaded, right? So this is how you have to create your own add URL. So this is add URL rule, the function. So now let me implement this in my code. So I can go and take the previous code. I'll modify it later. Okay, I'll do it here. So here I'm just importing the Flask, and then again I'm creating a constructor like this is usual. These two statements are mandatory in every in every code. I'm just defining a simple program which will return hello world. And here I'm just adding slash hello, and I'm telling what should I give after the slash, and then I'm mentioning the function name. Function name is hello, and then later I have to run. So this is also mandatory in all the programs. So this is mandatory and this is mandatory. In between you can run, you can create your own function and you can create your own URL. So let me say this and run. Why does it say his code is already running? I don't know what happened. Let me, URL is not found. Okay. HLLO. I'll do one thing. I'll go here. So I'm just going to this part. And then the file name is Flaskalo. So I'm just running. Even this old code is not running. For debugging purpose, I'll add debug is equal to true. Debugger is active. Okay, let me copy this and go to the page. It will now ask me the pin. What's wrong here?
Anu, can
Mm-hmm.
you go to the program? Here,
Yeah.
like at the rate app decorated dot route forward slash, you have to give hello, right?
In the root, I need not give hello. That's why I'm mentioning the hello here now. Let me try that also. But this program itself is not running in the page. See, I couldn't run it. This is showing code is already running. Let me save this. So again, it's starting only on this. Actually, it should be telling running slash hello. Okay, let's do one thing. Um, Now let me add slash hello. It see here. It's not found. Let me even create one more program.
In that
Mm,
app dot add URL rule, for the third argument, it should be in
Third is like
the
option. The third is like the third argument is it depends on the method. Get, I said no, there are many methods. Get, set, get, put, delete, and update. If you are doing any such of the method, you can add that method here in all the APIs. But
all
otherwise,
are
it's
in
actually,
quotes. But that what I was saying.
but this function is not in codes.
Hello world.
Let me do one thing. I'll directly add inside the. This is actually function shouldn't be in the code. That's why I didn't give that. Um, Let me directly give here hello. Okay, we have added that, right? Slash hello. I'll remove this. I'll control slash. The add URL is not working for me actually. Let me save this and I'll stop and I'll run this. So it's again giving me the same endpoint. Let me verify if my Flask is working fine. Mm, we have version 3.0. Okay. And I'll check the port availability. The main problem is, I believe, the activate within, which didn't work initially, right? So there is some problem with my activate. Cannot be loaded because disabled for the system. The thing is, actually what I did, I uninstalled everything so that I can show the installation. While uninstalling, maybe some file is still not deleted or something. So usually now, if I have given hello here directly in the root, or I have given only slash in the root and I've given the path here hello, then it will here it will show me in the web, in the URL, it will show me that slash hello here. That is, it is running on this path. I can just go and launch the path. It will give me hello and whatever function I have written, right? It will go and run my application. The URL will, what it will do, it will go and run my application and display whatever is there in my application. I'll fix this. I'll have to, I guess I have to clean and install the Flask and reinstall. I'll fix this and we can see the output of this program tomorrow. And we will do the same thing in Django so that you will understand the difference between writing an application in Django and Flask. We can wind up the session here, guys. We will see tomorrow on this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.